Hey folks, today we're going to take a look at a little piece of kit I picked up a couple years ago. This is the GPD P2 Max. This is the 2019 model. It has a Intel Core M3 8100Y, which is a 3 gig processor, 2 cores, 4 threads. It has also got 16 gigabytes of DDR3 and a 512 gig SSD. Running on PCIe and NVMe, so pretty snappy little thing, at least as far as the hard drive goes. It is integrated HD graphics Intel 615, but the screen on it's real nice. It's 2560 by 1600 pixels, and it does have a full 100% sRGB gamut, so it's got real nice color representation. And I really like the screen on it. It's 8.9 inches. It's got USB 3.0. Micro-HDMI and a USB-C on that side, as well as the fingerprint sensor, USB 3.0 and a combo audio jack on that side for both headphones and microphone. So pretty decent connectivity. There is no micro HDMI slot. There it is compared to a CD case. You can get an idea of how small it is. It's a nice little thing. Webcam is right below the screen, so not the greatest performance. I'll give you a taste of what that looks like now. Hello, this is a copy of the recording from the webcam on the P2 Max. As you can probably tell, it's not very high quality, not a very good frame rate. The camera is located below the display, and that gives it a rather unflattering angle, but well, now you can say you've at least seen it. They say that webcam's 2 megapixels, but I'm not so sure on how great it is. Let's run it through some benchmarks. This is PC Mark. Basically, it's a productivity type benchmark. Runs it through spreadsheets, web surfing, kind of a whole wide range of what I'd call common use scenarios. And it actually does pretty good. As far as using it, it feels pretty responsive. Not the most amazing thing, but certainly not terrible. And we'll just be finishing it up here. They're running through some rendering. I did skip a fair amount of the more spreadsheety type tests. And the score will be up here in a second. It's running a rendering pass. And there we go. So not amazing, but certainly not terrible. You could get by with it if you needed to. That 4-core or 4-thread machine processor, rather, does okay. Wouldn't call it great, but I certainly wouldn't call it awful. With 16 gigs of RAM, you can get by with a fair amount of multitasking. But, yeah, like I said, it's not a huge graphics powerhouse. You can see the performance on it's relatively consistent. It's not hitting any hot spots or throttling itself down. Its thermal management's actually quite good. This is Crystal Mark, just to get an idea of what the hard drive is doing, or rather the SSD. And we're not looking too bad, about 1.5 gigs per second under the optimum size conditions. So not horrible, and read and write are pretty close, so it's got a fairly decent controller on it. But for me, it is split into 3 drive letters. I don't know if the previous owner did that or if that's just how they shipped them, but I just thought I'd mention that. This is kind of a weird benchmark I ran across called User Benchmark, and I just thought I'd run it to see how it did. It seemed to have trouble with the capture software, so I just used Clipchamp to pick it up, and I'm not sure I'm going to continue to use this as part of my everyday suite, but it was fun to see. So we get to the results here, and what do you know? She scored equal to a tree stump. So that's your relative performance matrix there, and yeah, I'd say graphically tree stumps are probably about right. But again, it's just an integrated 615. This is Night Raid. This is running at 1080p, and it did okay. It was handling the capabilities test just fine. It just seemed to, this is the CPU section here, and it got a little painful at the end, wait for it to finish, but it did get through it. So, and like I say, thermal management was good, but what most I ever saw was 13 watts pulling out of the wall. So it actually was doing pretty good on power. There we got a 3200 on the graphics, and just about 2000 rather on the CPU. It says I can expect to play Battlefield 5 at less than 20 FPS. Ooh. But again, on the graphs, it looks nice and solid. It's not hurting itself trying to run. So I'd say it's sufficient. Not amazing, but at least it can do some lightweight gaming. Certainly play a mean game of solitaire. To give it a better chance, I thought I'd rerun it again at 800 by 600 just to see what the improvement was and see how much it was being resolution bottlenecked. And happy to say it actually made quite a nice improvement. As we'll see near the end, it basically doubled the graphics capabilities. Of course, the CPU test here is still grinding along, but so overall, I'd say that the performance on graphics is what you'd expect. It's certainly not hindered, but like I say, it over doubled the graphics side of it. So 800 by 600 is a lot more realistic for something like this, even though it does have that quote-unquote retina class display in it, which looks nice, but is causing it to push a lot more pixels. For fun, I thought I'd see how it handled virtualization, and it is running Linux just fine here. Sped up the startup, but in a second I'll put it onto real time. I decided to adjust the display just to show you how responsive it was changing resolution. But again, this is in a virtual machine. It's running 8 gigs of RAM with 2 cores, so not the most amazing configuration, but it is able to handle it. So I was pretty proud of it for that, considering the class of processor that it is. But it did okay. So you can have some fun if you wanted to, or in some cases, if you're traveling, you can run a slightly more secure environment in a virtual machine. Your choice there, but graphics, everything seems to be working good with the screen. Pick that up. You have the option of different refresh rates and obviously a whole list of resolutions. So it's not fighting the driver, or probably is just using software rendering, but overall, I find it a rather enjoyable little toy. I do have kind of a thing for smaller computers. They consider this an ultrabook, or it's what they called it. And GPD I've had good luck with. I have several of their machines, about half a dozen of them now, and I think they do a pretty good job of not compromising just to get the size down. It's a pretty useful machine that is a 56 key keyboard, so a little learning. They claim it's backlit, although I'm not sure if my lights are just turned off or not working, but I don't remember seeing it glow in the dark. But regardless, it is functional. It is not too gimped as far as the user interface. And like I say, that screen is real nice. Speakers are decent. They're stereo, not incredibly loud, but certainly useful. If you need anything more, you can either plug in headphones or use Bluetooth. So that's not a real hindrance anymore. But for out and about, and just kind of a fun little, I don't know, call it a novelty, a useful media consumption device, I'd definitely say it's worth grabbing if you're going to go out traveling and you don't want to necessarily crunch through a whole bunch of intense processing or video editing. So I just thought I'd give you a quick show on it. If you see one, don't be afraid to pick it up. Just know what it is. Have a good day.